What's up everybody on YouTube? AJ Russ back to discuss another video. And today we're going to be talking about the NBA playoffs and why they're about to be generational. Playoffs are here, yes sirski, let's go guys. Hope y'all are enjoying all the plethora of basketball that's on your TV screens today. Man, it's the most wonderful time of the year for us NBA fans. Love the NBA, love basketball, and we're about to see some of the biggest stars on the biggest stage and see potentially if there's going to be a new NBA champion or if the Nuggets are going to repeat, and I'm looking forward to it. In this video, yeah, I'm going to predict what I think is going to happen and transpire in the playoffs, but in addition to that, I'm going to highlight the teams that are in the playoffs and just talking about their chances, overall, their look, and how their season has went. But with that being said, guys, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe and turn on post notifications. You know we post about here, sports, lifestyle, and pop culture, and things of that nature. So with that being said, let's talk about these NBA playoffs. So starting off in the Eastern Conference, we know the matchups that are set. The first seed being the Boston Celtics taking on the Miami Heat, a rematch of the 2023 Eastern Conference Finals where the Heat did win in 7 games. But these two teams are definitely different. The Boston Celtics have the best record in the NBA this season. They've dominated every team besides the Denver Nuggets. And the Miami Heat will be without Jimmy Butler, who sustained that sprained MCL in the play-in game against the Philadelphia 76ers. So I think that the Boston Celtics really will take care of them, especially without Jimmy Butler. I could see this being a sweep. No disrespect to the Heat, but just being honest. And for real, honestly, if we're being real, the Celtics should take care of everyone in the Eastern Conference. I know there's probably something to be said about the New York Knicks, how great they've been this season, particularly Jalen Brunson and really just the whole team. Trading for OG Anunoby, the emergence of Dante DiVincenzo, just a team overall stepping up, even amidst the injuries with a Julius Randle. They've been nice, but Boston, they should take care of business and not only make the NBA Finals, but win. I mean, they were there 2 years ago. They have no excuses. This year, next season, like a lot of teams that I'll talk about later, they're on the clock. This team, they have Drew Holiday, just signed an extension. Have Porzingis. You have Derek White. You have your franchise player in Jason Tatum, and you just extended last offseason Jaylen Brown. So there's no excuses there. But moving on to the New York Knicks, talking about them even more, they'll be playing against the Philadelphia 76ers. And I'm kind of hard pressed on this because I do believe if Joel Embiid is even 80% or 90%, this series could go to the distance. But we saw Joel Embiid in that game against the Miami Heat. It looked like his knee was bothering him a little bit. He didn't look as explosive and as quick as he did in the past week or two when he returned from that meniscus tear that he did in January. So I'm kind of questioning what the 76ers can do in this series. Obviously, they do have depth. Tyrese Maxey, first-year All-Star this year. Definitely believe in his game. We'll see him rise to the occasion, I think, against Jalen Brunson, who will probably most likely be on second team All NBA. Like I said, love his play this year. He is so smooth. He's a player that you can't speed up as well. And just Brunson, he gets buckets. As a Luka Doncic fan, I wish that he didn't leave, but I love Kyrie being there. But we'll talk about the West in a few. But the Sixers, I mean, they could win a series if Joel is 90% to 100% and dominating. But that's a lot of ifs, and I believe in consistency, overtaking things that just emerged. For example, like the Phoenix Suns, who came together last trade deadline, putting that together. Obviously, they wanted a championship run, but teams like the Nuggets were too much for them. And I think similarly in the first round with Joel Embiid just coming back in the past few weeks, I think it's too rash to say that the 76ers will win. I think it will be a competitive series. I could see it going 6 games, but I'll pick the Knicks in that one as well. And I know I'm talking about these first round matchups right now. I'm not gonna do that and then talk about the second round and the conference finals and the finals. I'm just gonna end up potentially just talking about each team and then sharing who I think is gonna win it all. But it's important that I talk about the first round right now because that's where we are with the playoffs starting. The Milwaukee Bucks and the Pacers, this is easy for me, honestly, because Giannis is not playing. I saw that he could be out potentially a week to 2 weeks or something like that. Yeah, the Bucks are cooked. Not gonna lie. The Pacers, they dominated the Bucks without Pascal Siakam before the trade deadline, before they even got him. So they have Pascal now, and then also Giannis isn't playing, and the Bucks defense is already suspect, and they need Giannis, particularly in this series. It's just not the greatest matchup, especially without him. And I think the Pacers, they'll take care of them. If Giannis doesn't play at all, low key, it could be 5 games. Don't come at me in the comments down below, Bucks fans. I'm just being realistic. I mean, you have Giannis Antetokounmpo, one of the greatest power forwards to ever play in the game, and he's not playing in the first few games of this series. I mean, you're already at a disadvantage. So I think it's easy that the Pacers would win that potentially. And then going into the 4 or 5 matchup in the East, I think it's probably the least interesting in terms of widespread media. But if you've been watching the Orlando Magic and the Cleveland Cavaliers this year, specifically the Orlando Magic, you know that they have a young and energetic team. Of course, Paolo Banchero being a first-year All-Star this year, he's played amazing. Also Wagner as well. He's been dynamic the past few years that he's been in the NBA. They have depth and role players. Cole Anthony, I've always loved his game, loved his moxie and his attitude and his wittiness. And Jamal Mosley, head coach of the Orlando Magic. You can make a case that he should be coach of the year, but I think it's going to be the Thunder's head coach. The Magic, they've been great. They've overcome a lot of expectations for everyone in the league. No one really expected anything out of them. I remember Patrick Beverley said something about the Magic not having any dogs during the offseason or right at the beginning of the season, and he's been proven wrong for sure. The Cavaliers on the other spectrum, you have Donovan Mitchell. He's been dealing with some injuries this year. That team, I honestly expected them to beat the Knicks last year in the first round, and they came flat. And not gonna lie, I love Darius Garland's game as well. He's been an all-star in this league league as well too. Evan Mobley, he's a good big, but I feel like we should be seeing more out of him. That's just my opinion and my expectation. But if I have to pick a team, I'm gonna pick the Magic. I know it might be rash to say that. Cleveland fans, don't come at me, but I'm just more of a believer in what the Magic are doing than the Cleveland Cavaliers. And there's been some discussions potentially about the Cavaliers, maybe potentially trying to trade Donovan Mitchell during the summer. That's an intriguing conversation to say the least, but I just see the Magic winning that in all expectations. Now we can talk about the second round, but like I said, I really don't want to spend too much time on that because that's going to be so time consuming. The video will mess around and be nearly 30 minutes. It's going to be long, but I don't want it to be too long. That's a rough edit, but that's besides the point. In terms of the East, like I said, I expected to be the Boston Celtics to represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals, potentially against the New York Knicks. And I think that would be a good series in the conference finals before going to the NBA Finals, but I think the Celtics will win that in 6 games. If Julius Randle was playing, it may be more interesting, but also in the playoffs, he's very predictable. So not to say that he wouldn't make an impact, but I think the Celtics will have a counter for that, and I think they will represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals this year. Honestly, it's an expectation, and they better make it, because if not, you're gonna have a hard look at Boston if they can't even make the finals. Now, talking about the Western Conference, which has been a gauntlet, it has been tough to play in this season. 5 teams with 50 wins in the regular season, 10 teams over 500. Even the 11th seed, the Houston Rockets, had a 500 record. Insane. But the West, it's up. And talking about these series in particular, my favorite one has to be the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Clippers. We know what Luka does to the Clippers. He has absolutely dominated them in the playoffs. Even though he has lost those series, he has a better team now. And as you can probably tell, I did say Luka's one of my favorite players, and not even biasly speaking, just speaking objectively, if you look at how the Dallas Mavericks are playing going into the postseason, sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes teams adjust, and even if they are hot in the regular season, they end up laying an egg in the playoffs. I think the Mavericks, they are poised to potentially have a deep postseason run and maybe even go into the conference finals. And that's not crazy to say, how they've been playing. Besides the Denver Nuggets, the Mavericks, they can beat anyone in the West. Yes, the Timberwolves. Yes, even the Thunder as well, who I respect a lot and disagree with what Shannon Sharp said about them.
This might be the weakest #1 seed in the
wow,
NBA.
The disrespect for Oklahoma City is crazy.
But Mavericks, when Luka plays in the playoffs, name me a better player really that has played better in the postseason right now in the NBA than Luka. Now, I know he hasn't made the finals. He did make the conference finals in 2022 against the Warriors, but you really can't name too many people that has played better than him. So yeah, I would pick the Mavericks to beat the Clippers in around 7 games, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was 6. You have Kyrie Irving right now in the backcourt. I think right now, best backcourt in the league is for sure hands down in Dallas. It's just my opinion, and I think they would do really good. And I think that they can make the conference finals, and hey, who knows, if Denver is slipping, which I don't expect, could mess around and make the NBA finals, but I don't know. Luka will get there soon. I feel like he's having an MVP caliber season. And also switching to another player having an MVP caliber season, Jokic again. They're playing against the Los Angeles Lakers, a rematch of the Western Conference Finals last year, and I don't think it'll be a sweep again. All those games in the Western Conference Finals, they were close, but the Nuggets still pulled all those games out. For this year, I think that the Nuggets will win in 5 or 6. 5 might be too disrespectful to Lakers fans, but what have I seen to really alter that? I believe the Nuggets have beat the Lakers 9 times in a row. That's crazy. They haven't beat them, I think, since 2022. So that's nasty work. The Nuggets, they just dominate that matchup. And it wasn't the case in the bubble when they did play back then when the Lakers won the championship. But like I talked about in this video I just made in the MVP conversation, which you should go check out for sure, Jokic has a counter for every single defense and every single different look that teams throw at him. And that definitely includes the Lakers. And I can see them winning in 5 or 6 games. I'll say 6 games just to respect you Lakers fans. But yeah, 80, he's played great this year. I think he played 76 games. Insane. We would have never thought that going into this season. Him and Kawhi, they play a lot this year. But I just don't think they have enough. They're too inconsistent as a team and as a whole. Austin Reeves, he has played better throughout the season after he had that slump at the beginning, but it's just not enough for me as his team overall. And I think they've reached their limit. Winning a championship, obviously you want to win multiple championships, especially when you have LeBron James. But you still got one, even though it was 4 years ago. And at some point, as LeBron continues to get older, you're gonna have to evaluate how you're gonna move in the post-LeBron era. Now, this Minnesota Timberwolves and Phoenix Suns series, it should be really good. I know that the Suns, they haven't been the most consistent team this year, even though they did play way better at the tail end of the year. But it's gonna be a really good series, and I can see it go at 7 games. And that's no disrespect to the Minnesota Timberwolves, but Phoenix Suns did beat them 3 times in the regular season, so the matchup is favorable to them. But it just depends on what we see throughout the lines. We're gonna see that game on Saturday between those 2 teams. Anthony Edwards has been electric this year. You can make the case that he's a first-team All-NBA player. D-Book, we know he gets buckets. And KD, all-time great. Really, there's pressure on KD in my eyes. Everyone is going to talk about how he has 2 rings. And in my opinion, not all championships are created equal, because everyone had a foregone conclusion that the Warriors team was going to win. Come on. But now with things, how they ended up in Brooklyn, and now with him being in Phoenix, it's time. Are the Suns going to step up and win? Also, biasly saying D-Book and Luka, they're my 2 favorite players, so I would love for the Suns to make a finals run as well. But I don't know, man. And the Timberwolves are real. We can't just overlook them. They put on a clinic this season defensively and offensively. Jaden McDaniels, Rudy Gobert probably winning another Defensive Player of the Year award. Mike Conley playing great this year. Naz Reid, in my opinion, should be 6th man of the year. They have a squad. flawed. And Chris Finch, you make argument him as coach of the year as well. There's just been a lot of great basketball playing, particularly in the Western Conference. You shouldn't sleep on the Timberwolves. And as a D-Book fan, I want the Suns to win so bad. Hopefully I am wrong about this, but I see the Timberwolves winning in 7. Like I talked about the Knicks earlier against the 76ers. We've seen this consistency throughout the whole season. With the Suns, they're too inconsistent for me. Yes, they have assets and players like Grayson Allen, who they just extended, who has played phenomenal this year. And Bradley Beal, he's been in and out the lineup. There's at times where he's tentative and he doesn't look for the ball as much too. I think that hurts the Suns, and also not having a true point guard hurts them as well. And I think that's going to come into factor in the postseason. And I think that's going to come into factor in this series, as the Timberwolves, who are one of the best defensive teams in the league, will be able to show some of those things and show some of those looks. Talked about McDaniels, he'll probably have to guard KD. And KD, he can score over anybody. But even that presence of Rudy Gobert in the paint, I mean, that's going to alter a lot of shots. So we'll see about that. Karl-Anthony Towns also returning from injury too. That's another factor you have to take into account if you're a Suns fan. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Suns were to win. Like I said, I think this series is going to go 7 games, but I do believe that the Timberwolves will win.
Now the number 1 and 8 seed will be between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the New Orleans Pelicans. And for that series, man, it should be really good in the aspect of the Pelicans also aren't your typical 8th seed. I mean, they were the 6th seed really like a week before the season ended. Of course, they ended up dropping that game against the Lakers at the end, which ended up pushing them into the play-in, and then they lost to them again in that first play-in game. But now the Pelicans are without Zion Williamson. I think he wouldn't even be reevaluated for 2 weeks from now. So yeah, I think they're definitely going to lose against the Thunder. A lot of people have to stop disrespecting them, especially Shannon Sharp, because they are not the weakest 1 seed ever. In fact, I feel like they would beat the Pelicans in 5 games, if not 5, for sure 6. I don't think they'll sweep them because Pelicans, they still have some talent, they still have some grittiness, and Lee Green is a heck of a coach, and they still have a pretty good roster. If they had Zion, I think it would be a more interesting series, and yeah, I have to pick the Thunder in that. So now if you look at the bracket for both conferences, in terms of the East, the second round would consist of the Celtics and the Magic, Pacers and the Knicks, and then going to the Western Conference, it would be the Thunder and the Mavs, and then the Timberwolves and the Nuggets. And those are all intriguing series. Let me go on and say real quick who I would predict in those, and then just talk about who I have in the finals and who I have winning. So in the East, obviously the Celtics over the Magic. I would pick the Celtics in 5 games, to be frankly honest with you. Maybe 6, because the Magic, they are a really good team this year, but the Celtics, like I said, they're just another class in their own, especially in the Eastern Conference. Pacers and Knicks in 5 or 6 as well. Pacers are really good, but their defense is extremely flawed, and the Knicks, I feel like they would benefit not only scoring wise, but they would just be able to have their way and would take care of them. And then, like I said, Celtics would beat the Knicks in the conference finals, maybe 6 games, maybe 5. If I had to say either or, I would say 6, but I could be wrong about that, depending on which Boston Celtics team that we see. If we see the team that we saw in the regular season, I could see the Celtics winning in 5 games in the conference finals. But flipping to the Western Conference, that would then have us with the Thunder and the Mavericks. And like I said, respect to the Thunder this year, they have been a legit team, but like I said earlier, the Dallas Mavericks, they are for real. And besides the Nuggets right now, I can't definitively say that anyone in the West will beat them, and that's why I would have the Mavericks beating the Thunder in 6 games. Yeah, 6, not even 7. Just feel like the Thunder, they're really good. They're still young though, so they're gonna have some maturing, and Luka has been there, Kyrie has been there in the trenches in the playoffs as well. Like I said earlier, the team has a lot of depth, and I believe similarly to 2022, the Mavericks will be back in the conference finals. And then if you look at the next series, the Timberwolves and the Nuggets, this one is tough in the aspect of Tim Connolly. He literally built both of these teams, the Nuggets first, and then now the Timberwolves. And the Timberwolves, they are built to match up with the Nuggets, and ooh, this is a tough one. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna have to go 7 games. But I have to give respect to the defending champions and pick the Denver Nuggets in that one. In the realm of, because like we've seen them do it before, and we did see them play at the end of the regular season, and the Timberwolves didn't have Cat, but I just had to go with Denver. I trust them more in terms of they've been there. Like I said, Jokic, he can figure out any defense, even though the Timberwolves have a devastating defense, and Gobert matches up pretty good at times with Jokic, but if you put him in foul trouble, they're compromised. So I would have to go with the Nuggets. Now I have the Nuggets and Mavs. And let me just go on and quickly say who I have in the NBA Finals. Now, as a Luka Doncic fan, man, I would want the Mavericks to go, but I just can't listen to my heart right now. I'm going to pick the Nuggets to go to the finals, essentially with the Nuggets and Celtics being in the finals. And we saw this regular season matchup. I mean, the Celtics, they lost both times to the Nuggets though, so that's why it would be intriguing. And last year, I feel like if we would have got that, it would have been a more entertaining NBA Finals. No disrespect to the Heat, but just matchup wise. I think the Celtics match up better. With this, I feel like it'll be more unpredictable, and maybe I'm wrong, but we haven't had a repeat NBA champion since 2017 and 2018 when the Warriors won twice. And keeping with that theme, I'm gonna say that, and a lot of people might not agree with me, but I'm gonna go with the team that has been dominant the most in the regular season. Like I said, I know in the comments down below some people are gonna be like, yeah, you're tripping, the Nuggets are gonna repeat, but I think Boston is finally gonna overcome that monkey on their back and win their first finals since 2008 in 16 years. I just feel like it's time. If not now, then when? They've been the best team in the regular season statistically, besides playing the Nuggets those 2 times. And I think Jason Tatum is finally gonna overcome those playoff woes he had 2 years ago against the Warriors. That team is built to win this year. Having Jaylen Brown, who has been great this season, having Porzingis, who has stepped up this year and been a great piece for them. They're trading for them. Same thing with Drew Holiday, being the best defensive guard in the league. Derek White playing so good, really even up in his play offensively. Aiden Pritchard great off the bench. I mean, the team just has a lot of depth, a lot of pieces, a lot of firepower, and it's their time. And I feel like the Boston Celtics will win 2024 NBA Finals. But regardless of that, these playoffs are going to be generational in the fact of the quality of play in the league is at an all-time high. I mean, we have all the star power and loaded power in the West, all the stars. Eastern Conference, a lot of upcoming teams, and the dominance of the Boston Celtics. And despite how dominant the West has been, I feel like if you put the Celtics in the West, they would be at least the 2nd seed still, because roster-wise, they arguably have one of the best, if not the best in the league, and I just feel like they're gonna win. But yeah, guys, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. I know a lot of y'all might disagree with my pick, but these playoffs are going to be generational, and I'm not going to lie, as a fan, I hope I am wrong, because technically I would want the Mavericks or Suns to win because I want to see my boy Book or Luka get a ring. But as a journalist, I have to provide the facts, provide my actual analysis, and I think that either the Nuggets or Celtics will win, but picking out of them, I just think the Celtics will win this year, and it's hard to repeat in the NBA. Nuggets don't have the same exact team that they had last year, but they are great, and I have respect to them, and they could win again, but I think I'm going to go with Boston. So let me know what y'all think in the comments down below and how you think everything is going to transpire in these 2024 NBA playoffs. I appreciate you guys watching. Always make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SwaggyRuss, and also on TikTok at SwaggyRuss02 for cooking videos, shorts, reels, content, things of that nature. Hope y'all are doing blessed. Hope 2024 has been great for y'all. If it hasn't, know that the year still has a lot of time left. Jesus loves you. God has a lot of great things for you. Y'all be blessed and have a good one.